and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, as Parliament decides whether to debate demonetisation or not, I have with me a panel of top editors who are going to give me their take on this issue. We have Aditi Phadnis, political editor of Business Standard, M.K. Venu, founding editor of the Wire.in. We have Virendra Kapoor, political analyst and columnist, and Radhika Ramaseshan, political editor for the Telegraph. Aditi, I'll begin with you. A lot of people are saying it's maybe good politics for Modi, but very bad economics.
Well, certainly, if the idea was that the cash economy should be dismantled and the unreported cash should come into the system, he has, I suppose, succeeded because more money is coming into the system than has been reported. So, the net result is, we are hearing in the Supreme Court also, the net result is that people have in the interim put their money in banks, returned it to the government and basically laundered what was black into white. So, more money is coming into the system, the kind of windfall that they had expected, which was the unreported money, the so called daba hua paisa, which was supposed to come to the government as by way of a windfall, is not coming, and many are asking, why did we go through all this?
Exactly. Why did we go through all this? Apart from the larger goal, of course, being of has the larger goal been achieved, which is to target black money?
See, if you look at what has happened so far, the first stage of this plan of attacking black money was to attack cash, which is 5% of the total black wealth, right? Now, and in this 5%, the government thought that they would at least extinguish a lot of black money. The estimate was 3 lakh crore plus, and Finance Minister Jaitley was on record that this 3 lakh crore could come back to RBI and then could give fiscal space to the government to
RBI would have that much money to play with.
So all the calculations have gone wrong because the Revenue Secretary day before said the entire money is coming back into the system. So now what you actually see, what Aditi said is right. Everybody is managed to launder the money into the system. So the question that I am asking today is, if all 1,500 rupee notes are back in the banking system or will be back in due course, as the Revenue Secretary said, then what are political parties like BJP, Congress and others, have they also put their, logically they have also put their 1,500 rupees back in the system? Who's fronting for them? So now this government is embarking on this massive state-driven enforcement, income tax enforcement exercise where they'll check each deposit to figure out who's not paid tax. Now, in my view, this will be the next stage of tax terrorism. Mr. Jaitley dealt with tax terrorism the first 6-7 months. He tried to correct it. The income tax guys who, in the first place, who are complicit in this whole exercise of creating black money, are the ones who are now going to sort of tell us who's holding black money, who's not in terms of deposits.
Okay.
And they'll end up going for the smaller guys, again, somebody who has deposited 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs, and go after them. And the big guys who also have deposited 1,500 rupee notes, they'll never be able to find out who fronted for them. Even if they do, the tax guys, are, the big business.
But are we giving too much into the hands of the tax people? Are we, the tyranny of the tax man? Is that the next step?
No, that has been there all along.
But this is...
this is another excuse for them to harass people. But I think to get back to demonetization, I think the objective was okay, but they didn't do their homework at all.
Exactly.
And that shows in, making changes on the go every day. And now, as Venu pointed out, all of the money is coming back into the system. So what was this harassment for? The ordinary people, the tax-paying people, the poor people, they are suffering. They ought to have thought through this. I'm sure that secrecy is very important for this kind of exercise, but still, you could have gone and printed enough currency to replace the ones that you junked, which you didn't do. In earlier times, Bajpayee government, they imported the currency notes. Whose lot? Because there was shortage of currency. You could have done that. Even now, if somebody has pointed it out, in fact, the former finance minister, P. Chidambaran, in one of the articles he writes for a paper, if the 4 presses, security presses, continue to churn out at full speed, 24/7, They'll not be able to meet the demand in a year. In fact, I was reading Ashok Clary, another advisor, economic advisor to the previous government. He says the maximum capacity for printing of currency notes of all denominations is 21.7 or 6 billion. And you have junked what, 23 or 24? I don't know who came up with this idea. This is not how you implement such it's a humongous scheme. I mean, every nook and cranny of this country, you see queues now.
That's true. Radhika, any insights into who came up with this idea? And also, I want to ask you another question. You know, BJP General Secretary, I was speaking to him, and he told me, he says, look, the traders are asking you losing your core vote bank, the traders, the banyas. He said, we would have probably lost them because of GST. We are now building a whole new vote bank, the very poor, the, you know, maybe the middle class, not the salaried, but the salaried class, not the middle class professional, but the salaried class. These are the people who are happy with it.
The salaried class, a good chunk was already with Mr. Modi.
Right.
I think he was targeting the poor because that is the last frontier that the BJP would like to breach if it wants to come back to power in 2019. I mean, notice the way the goalposts kept shifting, you know. First, it started off as a crusade against black money, against terror money, against counterfeit currency. Then he kind of converted it into a class war. I mean, you heard him speak in the Moradabad rally where he set out the contours of a class war, literally asking the poor sort of not to return the money that was even by mistake deposited in their accounts, in their Jandan accounts. And then you talk about a cashless society. When you suddenly face a hard currency crunch, you are urging people to turn digital. I mean, you know, so what was Mr. Modi's objective? Was it to sort of help the poor? If that was the objective, then I'm afraid it's not being fulfilled at all, because anecdotal evidence and now statistical evidence points out that it's the rural poor who are having to bear the brunt of it, and you will probably see the impact in the elections that are about to come.
See, unlike not Mrs. Gandhi, and go back to nationalization, I still maintain Morarji Desai, one is a conscientious objector, you could have achieved those goals, you know, the social control. The gains were illusory, you know that. But Mrs. Gandhi, with that single act, became the messiah of the poor. Modi, probably by this, seeks to redo that same exercise. He's now emerging that I have attacked black money, I have attacked Sethiyas, big money. Whether or not he'll succeed, we'll see in case by the end of the month, because he's asked for the 50 days grace period, if there is enough currency going around and you stop seeing queues wherever you go in this country.
Which looks a bit unlikely.
See, the first order response of the people was, yes, it's a good thing. The rich is also suffering. Probably we can suffer. He's at least making the rich suffer.
Correct.
But this was the first 2 weeks. But now I hear a lot of people who've gone to their villages and come back to Delhi saying that, साहब वहाँ तो बैंकों में जो अमीर आदमी है उसका तो सब चल रहा है, वो अपना कर रहा है और हम लोग अभी भी लाइन में खड़े हैं. So there is a second order rational political assessment also happening among the people. And my sense, politically my sense is that, you know, the era of paternalistic state, like the one that Mrs. Gandhi ran, where the state would tell the people that we know what is best for you and we'll give it to you, that era is over. I think in the last 20 to 25 years, India has changed. You know, there are at least 80% of the Indians, they want to live their lives the way they want.
That era has come to America.
And you know, this paternalistic state,
no, I don't agree with you.
It ain't working now.
My Baap Ki Sarkar.
No, but that syndrome is always there and is very much there.
Places like Amethi, Raebareli, people are not willing to sort of accept the writ of the Gandhi.
This national suffering, converting national suffering into some kind of national regeneration,
martyrdom,
it ain't working now. That era is over.
But you know, we've noticed a lot of references to Indira Gandhi, and we've also heard the comparison of Modi with Mrs. Gandhi. Is he also trying to, you know, cope with this whole trying a bold move like nationalization, as Virendra was pointing out?
Well, I think he's trying, but without the wisdom and the knowledge that Indira Gandhi possibly had at that time. There is a backstory to this, and unfortunately the backstory has simply not been endorsed by enough people who know better than you and me about the way these things happen. Unfortunately, if Mr. Modi had been a little more wise and a little more careful, he may have listened to those who were telling him, let's do it in this way, let's not do such a drastic move with such short notice. After all, previous governments have also done this.
I want to ask you, Chidambaram has been saying about it. Yeah.
We do know that the 1000 rupee notes that were printed previous to 2005 were the category of currency notes which were the most counterfeited. And very gradually the government withdrew, the RBI, on the RBI's advice, the government and banks withdrew those notes from circulation slowly over a period of time. If counterfeiting, anti-counterfeiting measures was your objective, then this was certainly not the way to do it.
But now they've moved the goalpost of the objective. It's cashless economy. Let's talk about that.
Counterfeiting is a minor part of it. It's 0.2%, and in any case, 600 crore worth of
I am
notes.
not saying this,
No, but all
Kapoor
that
Sahab,
I'm
the
saying,
Prime Minister
the
is saying
larger,
this.
larger goal which they wanted to sell was attack on black money. That your neighborhood state, when he's in trouble, your peons and your domestic servants, they all get happy. The guy drives around and Mercedes doesn't give me my salary on time, and now he's coming to me and deposit my money in your account. But the point is, I want to pick on her phrase back room. I think that where Indira Gandhi and Modi differ is, Indira Gandhi had the benefit of a very good back office. This gentleman here doesn't have the services of a P.N. Dhar or a Haksha. Clued up guys, experienced bureaucrats. Indira Gandhi is not like Indira Gandhi is great in any way. The only thing is she had surrounded herself with very good advisors. You name one guy, they're all faceless guys in the PMO.
Does he listen to anyone?
That's the other question.
That
Yes.
is the question.
Can I add one small thing here? Part of this back office problem is also sound analysis. You just go back to from the time this government came to power, $500 billion lying abroad, their own task force analysis, completely belied. What they got from all these foreign accounts was less than 2 billion.
No, that
kept
election time rhetoric, one should take
they
it
took
seriously.
that
All
report,
governments do
Kapoor
it.
There was a
sir,
task
they took
force
that report
analysis.
very seriously.
And then they say,
He's right.
no,
The election
okay,
time
the second
matters.
scheme, they said gold, let people bring gold certificate scheme. They didn't get 10 kilos of gold. People didn't come with the gold, they didn't trust. Then they came up with a black money law, which then again,
The amnesty scheme.
yeah, what they got now, it seems compared to the earlier, 1997, in inflation adjusted terms, is just about 60% of what 97
The VDI
scheme, yeah, in inflation adjusted. That VDI scheme got 33,000 crore. In today's prices, it would be 1,20,30,000. Okay. Now, so what have they got? And in this, the big one, they got nothing. The entire money has come into the banking system.
Which brings us to the shifting the goalpost, what Radhika was talking about.
I mean,
the
since
cashless economy.
Venu mentioned the task force. I must point out that there were sections of the BJP which took that report very seriously. It was prepared by one Professor Vaidyanathan from IIM Bangalore, Gurumurthy.
Yeah, these are very learned guys. It is not some jugla,
Yeah, supposedly learned guys, though I don't know if reputed economists would treat them with the kind of seriousness that Mr. Advani and company treated them with. So that, but they are all highly ideologized individuals also. So if ideology is going to play upon your economic outlook, I do think that somewhere your policies are going to flounder.
No, I don't agree with you, Radhika. I think ideology does drive policy, and policy minus ideology is highly undesirable.
But that is true, I think, but analysis should be more objective.
Analysis should be, what I mean is analysis should be more pragmatic. That's what I meant. Yeah.
But you need some hard facts, and you need to do your backroom planning in a much more sophisticated and solid way.
That's sophistication is the word, because if you read that report and in the subsequent press conference that followed, the whole objective seemed to be to target the Gandhis, because repeatedly they kept coming back to Swiss banks, gun deals and so on, so I mean ideology was probably the wrong word, politically.
As anybody will tell you, there's hardly any money lying abroad. It never was, especially since 1991, the liberalization. is that he'll be familiar with the term. It's a round tripping of the money. If I earn 100 crores by over-invoicing or under-invoicing, I still bring it back through the tax havens. I bring it back from Mauritius route, Singapore route, and Chidambaran tried to do it. This government has tried to do the participatory notes.
Participatory notes is still open.
Still open.
It's not been closed.
The
big
share
businesses
market
use it still. You know.
I see.
The share market will sink because those guys blackmail you. Once you insist on transparency in those. I mean, how many times Chidambaran said, I'll do this, and next day or 3 days later,
they've not been able to do it. So we're coming to exactly the point that the big businesses.
I don't think there's much money lying abroad. It's all here.
But it's a convenient bogey to whip out, no? It's a convenient bogey.
Exactly, following up on your logic, the routes that the big businesses use remain unplugged.
Of course.
And the cash users, at the 80% poor people who use the cash economy, they are under stress.
Us, I mean,
Now, so what are we doing? So at the end of the day, after 2 months, people will ask, have you caught any big businesses? Do you have reports of over-invoicing? Lying with the SIT. 15,000 crore over-invoicing by big, well-known businesses who also fund all the parties.
So would he be targeting?
So I think Modi has to gain credibility.
So what he's trying
and
to
how
say
will he
is,
gain credibility?
let me sum it up for what he's saying. I'm not my
What
word.
will bring him credibility?
Khoda pahad nikli chuya.
Exactly.
But if he nails some big business, would that bring back some credibility?
So I agree with
that's
Venu.
what people want.
I think he should, because I mean already the talk in the the talk is that किसी बड़े इसको नहीं पकड़ा है और उल्टा हमें we are
और कोई बड़ा आदमी लाइन में खड़ा भी नहीं हुआ है.
कोई बड़ा आदमी लाइन में नहीं खड़ा. Initially it was seen as a great economic and social leveler, but somewhere the narrative is floundering.
But I have to say that people by and large are still extremely
forgiving people are,
of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister is not being seen as the person driving this policy. People are looking at the DM and the local administration and saying they are responsible, that there isn't enough cash in the banks to distribute. So people are letting Modi off the hook. And it's very strange, this is the mystery of our wonderful country.
It's a paradox.
That the decision has been taken by the top man. But people are not blaming him for the decision. They are blaming those who are executing it for the decision.
And a lot of this may be happening with the Prime Minister also. I'll come back to you, but we just need to take a quick break. But we're going to come back and keep this conversation going. Welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. This week we are debating, well, what else can we debate but demonetisation. Venu, you were about to comment.
No, I'm saying that Aditi is right. Mr. Modi may not.
I better be right.
May not personally be blamed for everything that's going on. But please pay attention to what Arun Jaitley, Finance Minister, said yesterday, that he's taken it on his broad shoulders, the entire responsibility. So my sense is that the Prime Minister will actually go to UP wherever and be continue to be evangelist for the next phases of attack on black money. Currently, this 5% of the total black wealth has sought to be attacked, and everything has come back to the system, laundered. Next is gold, real estate. Now, let's see what he does. But he's there upfront, pitching himself as the main market.
You have to give credit to this government for the simple reason, if you really want to assess them, what they've done. This is the first government in free India that it has criminalized the possession of black money. You could get away by paying in case you got caught, which was chances are never be caught, the big money bags.
It has not yet happened.
But the fact that you want to now, the maximum imprisonment 9 years, the core constituency of the BJP saying, पैसा लेके खत्म करने का है ना, क्यों criminal jail में क्यों भेजने का है? This is one fear that's going around in that constituency. That the point I'm making is that this Prime Minister does not fear attacking his own core constituency in order to clean up the system. But
That's
this
what
is not going to be the cleaning up of the process.
But,
Much
but
more
he's also
needs to be done.
criminalizing a lot of small cash holders, which will backfire.
Politically, Radhika, that's what I really want to use.
I think he's trying to repeat what he did in Gujarat before the 2007 elections, when he actually imposed a power tariff on farmers, and he also sort of made them pay up for
In the face of opposition from RSS.
in the face of opposition from the RSS and
he
its
got away.
farmers' wing. And he got away. He won those elections. I mean, I remember covering, and I was himself. There was so much anger in Saurashtra because farmers were being jailed and so on. And I thought he would lose a lot of seats in the rural areas. That didn't quite happen because he again took it on himself. I mean, he was ready to take the rap, but having done that, he went out, did this massive damage control, and he's very masterly with his words, with his articulation, and so on. You know. So I think he's trying to repeat something like that over here.
If I can endorse this.
But I am just concerned about the basic principles of the way this whole thing is happening. 1991 taught us one very important thing. 1991 taught us that reform is fine, but the sequence in which you do reform is as important as the reform itself.
And the implementation, sequencing and implementation.
If you pluck out a reform from mid-air and say, look, I've done such a massive reform, well, you know, the forces of, that's a revolution, but the forces of counter-revolution are so strong that they will overcome that little bit you've done unless you planned the back part of it properly. We've seen this government do this innumerable times. Actually, there are more than 36 instances of this government having done U-turns. Simply because it's not been clear on policy, it's not thought the policy through, and has come up with objections, with problems which it did not anticipate. We've seen that in land acquisition. We've seen in the land acquisition law. We've seen it in the mines and minerals ordinance. That was the only thing that was managed properly, because Piyush Goyal did a fantastic job of explaining to state governments what the changes in the mining law would mean for them.
Let me take on from what she said. In fact, land acquisition is a first-rate case. In fact, before coming here, I wrote for my column. The land acquisition, he went unilaterally. If he had done his homework, if he had taken, other people in confidence, I mean, I still approve of what he intended to do in those amendments.
His intention has been good in all the things.
But there was a difference. The difference was that the opposition was able and successfully able to sell this as anti-poor, tumhara land. Now, contrast this with demonetization. The process, the implementation might be faulty, which it is. But the opposition, where opposition is not clicking with the people, is not striking the code in spite of, striking only in parliament, is that people see demonetization as, poor friendly. That it's something good is going to come out of it. Which they didn't see in the case of repeated ordinances being issued and in the case of, but both cases, he went without taking wider consensus.
Okay.
Which
Maybe last word, fast.
Yeah, and, politically, Priya, both the manner in which they try to acquire land and the manner in which they're doing demonetization, both remind me of this great leap forward Mao type of, they have to get outside this psychological frame that nothing has happened in the last 60 years and we will do everything in the next 2 years. It ain't happening. There'll be a great leap backwards if they go like this, sequencing and implementation.
Okay, last word, Radhika, then we start.
I think there are tests will be, at least one of the tests will be the coming elections. I'm not saying that it's everything. Elections are lost and won on account of a number of factors, but I'm sure this issue is going to play out.
But the lasting good, which I'm sure is going to come out, is increasing digitization of our economy. There is an attack now on cash economy. I mean, it can't be overnight, all 50% or 60%. But you'll see your neighborhood provision store, kirana stores.
That's going to spark a whole new debate, which we do not have time for.
That, it will be anti-poor. All the moves today are pro-very people.
Still, we have Aditi disagreeing, but I'm going to end now. We're going to maybe call everybody back for another roundtable soon. But that's it from us. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again, same time next week.